What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Week 9 preview predictions continuing today with a big one in the SEC East. The Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators meet on the neutral site in Jacksonville, Florida, in what always is usually a very, very fun, entertaining game to watch, and this year should be no different. This is a massive game in the race for the SEC East crown. We got the #1 reigning back-to-back national champion Georgia Bulldogs against the Florida team that as of right now has exceeded expectations so far this season. We're going to dive on into this one and a whole lot more, but before we do that, you guys know I got to say thank you for the support the channel has seen as of late, and hey, if you want to continue to help show your support for the channel, or this is the first video of mine you're seeing and you want to show your support, biggest way to do so, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. As of recording this video, almost to 1,600 subscribers. Be really cool if we could get there. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, but there are more ways than that to help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video, and you can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, really anything else you guys feel like you're willing and able to do and that you feel like is necessary to help support the channel. Hey, by all means, go ahead and do what you guys need to do. But again, that's if you guys would like to do so. I don't really expect it, but enough about me. Let's dive on into this one. Georgia and Florida. There have been some rumblings around Georgia. This team has not been as dominant in years past, and now with the injury to Brock Bowers, how is this team going to handle a Florida team that plays really aggressive defensively and has its really good moments offensively here and there as well? We're going to dive on into it. We're going to talk about everything, but we got to look at the stats that both of these teams have put up so far this season. We are going to start with the Georgia Bulldogs, led by Carson Beck, who has 2,147 yards, 12 touchdowns, yet 4 interceptions so far on the season. Carson Beck has had some really, really good moments, and then he's had his not great moments. Obviously, his favorite target has been Brock Bowers, who is going to be out for the foreseeable future there. 41 catches, 567 yards, and 4 touchdowns for Brock Bowers. All of those marks lead the way for the Georgia Bulldogs. So that is a huge part to what this team does offensively. They're going to need to be able to find a rhythm here without him. Running the football, I do not think is going to be a super difficult thing to really try to hone it in on. Dejan Edwards has kind of been that back that has sort of started to take over. He's got 460 yards, 6 touchdowns. Kendall Milton has still been in and out here and there. He's still been running well. You got a couple other backs back there as well. But especially in this wide receiver room, without Brock Bowers, Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint, Dominic Lovett, Ra Thomas, and then some of these backup tight ends too. Oscar Delp and a guy by the name of Pierce Spurlin, among others, are really going to need to step up, especially Delp and others in that tight end room. That's a place that they really, really like to throw the football to, but it's going to be a lot more passes to wide receivers now. So Rosemy, Jack Saint, Lovett, Thomas, it is your time to step up. It is your time to play some really, really good football. They're one of the best third down offenses in the country. Yeah, they have some turnover problems here and there, but ever since that first game against UT Martin, they've done a really good job at limiting pressure back to their quarterback. And then, well, this is a Georgia defense that hasn't really looked like the dominant Georgia defenses of the 2 years past. However, this is still a defense that statistically ranks one of the highest amongst defenses in the entire nation. They have a lot of really, really good pass rushers, albeit they've only generated 12 sacks this year. That's definitely a number that should continue to rise as the season goes along. They're one of the best third down defenses in the country, one of the best rush defenses in the country. If you're going to plan your entire attack around running the football and trying to run it down Georgia's throat, I got news for you. It's not going to work. Even though this is the Georgia rush defense that may not be as good as it has been in years past, it's a defensive front that may not be as good as it's been in years past. This is still a Georgia defensive front that is absolutely formidable. They are still one of the best in the country, and they will make you pay if you try to run it on them time after time after time, which I don't think Florida is too keen on that, right? This is an offense that, well, has seen a resurgence from Graham Mertz. During his time in Madison, wasn't really that great of a playmaker. He's emerged as a great playmaker for this Florida offense. 1,897 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 2 picks. However, he has been sacked 19 times so far this season. And against the Georgia defensive front that, look, has only provided 12 sacks so far this year, but we know the talent that is here, right? We know all the NFL level talent that is in this Georgia defensive front 7, even if they decide to bring some guys on corner or secondary blitzes. Those are some guys that are really, really fast, really athletic. They can get to the quarterback. It's an offensive line that's going to have to stand up here today. Not today, on Saturday, obviously. But when we take a look offensively a little bit deeper, hey, you got two really good running backs back there. Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, both averaging over 5 yards per carry. They're both going to need to get it in the mix here, keep fresh bodies on the field, especially in the running back room against this Georgia defensive front. And then again, Graham Mertz has really started to find his rhythm. Ricky Pearsall is by far his favorite target, but he's got a lot of other guys, 5 other receivers over 100 yards receiving so far this season. So with Graham Mertz emerging as a pretty solid playmaker with a couple of great running backs in the backfield, this is the Florida offense that's got everything it needs to do to be able to beat this Georgia defense. However, can the defense stand up and stop this Georgia offense enough? Because even without Brock Bowers, this is the Georgia offense that can still move the football. And it's a Florida defense that, sure, while it's had its really good moments and it's one of the best third down defenses in the country, holding opponents to under 30%, they've been able to generate a little bit of pressure there as well. They're not a defense that turns the football over. They don't force takeaways. They only have 4 turnovers forced so far on the season, and while their rush defense and pass defense ranks pretty solidly amongst those in the country, they definitely have their moments of lapses, right? I mean, their secondary only has 19 passes defended. However, they do have 11 sacks this year. There have been some really, really nice pass rushing talent that have come through Florida this season, and again, they have shown up in some big moments here throughout games this season. But when I take a look here at this Florida defense, even without Brock Bowers, while it definitely is going to help this Florida defense not having to deal with Brock Bowers, you got to be able to find some other things that are going to work here in this game and are going to be able to lead to Georgia's demise, which leads me into my what to watch for keys to the game if my slide would change. There you go. These are just some things I think you should keep an eye on when you tune into this one, and we'll tell you where to watch it here in just a little bit. But I think the big question for Georgia coming into this game, obviously it's something you have to watch for because he's the best tight end in the nation by far, and he's just one of the best pass catchers, one of the best playmakers in the country, and he's going to be out now for the foreseeable future. How will this offense look without Brock Bowers? Well, this is a rushing attack that's still really going to have to take control, right? It's a rushing attack that's still going to have to set the tone, but Carson Beck is going to need to be looking to those wide receivers, right? Rosemy Jack Saint, Lovett, Thomas, even a guy like Ladd McConkey might have to step up and play some pretty big minutes here in this game. And I think this defense is going to take some time to settle in. I don't think this is a defense that's going to expect that much out of this Florida offense. Guys, this is a Graham Mertz-led team. And look, again, Graham Mertz, not thought of as that great of a quarterback because of his time at Madison. A change of scenery here in Florida has really turned him around. He's been a pretty solid playmaker throughout his time here at Florida. This is a rushing attack that's really been able to get it going, and not just with one guy, but with a couple guys there as well. I think Georgia's going to get a little bit of a shock here, and maybe no surprise to see Florida take a 10-7 lead or something like that. I think the defense is going to take some time to settle in, but it will settle in, and then it will start creating plays. It will start getting pressure, and it will get Graham Mertz on the floor. But can Georgia keep control of the football? Meaning they have 9 turnovers so far this season. Can Carson Beck not throw picks? Can this Georgia team hold on to the football? Have been times this year where ball security has been a little bit of an issue for this team, and can they control the pace of the clock? If you give Florida the time of possession battle here, you let them dictate how they want to play this game, that's not going to lead to a good recipe of success for this Georgia Bulldog team, and that could lead to an upset alert around the nation. Let's talk about the keys for the Florida Gators here, because I've said it multiple times, Graham Mertz has been a pretty solid playmaker for this team, but he's going to need a great performance through the air here in this game. Again, like I said, if your whole MO is going to be to run it down Georgia's throat in this game, you are just simply not going to have much luck. That is plain and simple. You're going to need to be able to throw the ball on this Georgia team. Now, don't get me wrong. Still run the ball. Still set the tone with the ground. You have 2 really good running backs in that room, but this is a Florida offense that has to throw the ball. Maybe not even throw the ball downfield, but they got to throw the ball really, really well. You got to be able to move the ball through the air because Georgia just, again, while they haven't been as dominant this year up front, they are still going to force you into third down and longs, and then that's where Florida's going to need to air it out and do some damage there through the air. win the battle on third. And going back to that here really fast, just something else. That offensive line, it is not on the board here, but it needs to step up in a big way. It needs to give Graham Mertz the time to be able to look down the field and throw. You got to be able to win the battle on third down if you are the Florida Gators. This is the Georgia team that converts a lot of their third down opportunities. In fact, they're over 50%. I believe they are one of, if not the best, third down offense in the entire country. Again, a big part of that was having Brock Bowers, so we'll see how that changes in this game, but it's a huge opportunity for Florida to let your defense control third down and then really be able to hone in and convert your third down opportunities, especially third and short, which is you're going to need a lot of those here in this game. I don't think the Gators are going to be able to do enough on offense. That last bullet point kind of leads me there into my prediction. I just think with the way this Georgia defense is schemed and the way this Georgia defense is set, right? I do not think that Georgia is going to give some here against Florida, and Florida's going to be able to score some points, but I do not think it is going to be enough. I still think even without Brock Bowers, Carson Beck and company are going to find ways to get the ball down the field and get the ball into the end zone. And I think Florida's defense is going to give a little bit more. Again, this is the defense that doesn't really force turnovers. Georgia just cannot beat themselves. If Georgia doesn't beat themselves, I think they have a pretty good shot here to win this game, and I think they do win this game. Now, Florida, I do think is going to cover that 14.5-point spread. That's a spread as I'm recording this video. But Georgia will make enough plays offensively. That defense will get back to Graham Mertz as the Florida offensive line continues to struggle this year, and the number one team in the nation will survive a scare. They're going to pull away in the fourth quarter here. It's going to be close, so they survive a scare in Jacksonville. Let me know your thoughts on this game down below. 3:30 game on CBS. And remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.